Hi, I'm here with Adeel, and today we're going to speak about some of his experiences with police brutality here in Canada. Hi, Adeel, excuse me. Why don't we take us back to what happened March 8th of last year, please?
Okay, so all right, so I'm at a friend's place. I'm hanging out with him because he's leaving. He's going to Vancouver, and his cousin shows up. See him off. And we start talking about police brutality, like racial profiling, just out of the blue. And anyways, so his cousin's telling us about what happened to him. My friend's talking about when he used to live in Côte-de-Neige and cops would just stop him on the side of the street because he had a Big Mac in his hand or something. I don't know what he's talking about, really. But go figure that I would leave there, just after midnight, and I'd come back to my neighborhood, and I was followed by the cops to where I parked my car, and as I parked my car, the cops came up from behind where I was, and as they passed me, the one cop that was driving kind of just pointed at me and grinned, and then he pulled a Yui. I'd stepped out of the car by now. Lights flashing on top of the hood, on top of the roof, and then they had their headlights right on me. I don't know if you guys ever had that happen to you before, but
Not yet.
it's kind of, you never get used to it really, because here you got the lights on your eyes, and that's always one of the things cops like to do is they flash those flashlights right in your eyes, so you can't really see what's going on, and you're gonna kind of just see shadows, and anyways, so the one cop asked me for my license, registration, and insurance, and I asked him for what, and he asks me again. Me being a bit older now, having a bit of experience, I was told that I have the right to ask them for their identification, which I did. At that point, the cop gave me his identification by putting his badge about within inches of my face, of my eyes, and then I asked for the other cop's identification as well. At that point, I was arrested. They put me against my car. They pulled everything out of they cuffed me. They pulled everything out of my pockets, And anyways, they put me in the back of their car. I mean, this is winter time, like it was pretty cold. And I'm in the back of their car, and they go through my car, they come back, some time passes, they call BC, because I have a BC license, and they call BC, and they're like, all right, well, is this person all right? What's going on? Anyway, some time passes, you're sitting in the back of the car, you're cuffed, you're saying, oh man, I'm gonna spend another night in that cell, which is always lovely. And then you just see this, what do you call it, tow truck come by. And the tow truck, you don't think it's for your car, but, I see a tow truck come by and it stops in front of your car. And I don't know. So they decided to tow my car, and the tow truck took the car away. And I mean, you're in the back of the car. You're cuffed, you're in the back of the cop car. And nothing you can really do. There's no point in talking because they'll just use it against you. So you just suck it up and wait to see what happens. And you think you're going to go to jail, but instead they decide to open the door and let you out there, which is not what you want, because you want there to be a witness to what happened. It'd be better if they took you to jail, so at least there'd be some documentation of this. But what they do is they let you out there, and they give you a bunch of tickets, which accumulated about $1,000 in 4 tickets, and they just leave it all on the hood of their car and tell you to take it and go on your way. I live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of working class people, a lot of immigrants, and people that I guess they would stand up for their rights, I'd assume, but it's hard. It's hard to ask them to do it because they have to conform to so many things in a new country. And anyways, so because of that, I decided to file a complaint because I decided it's just going to keep on happening, and so I've been trying to figure out what the process is.
In speaking with you a bit earlier, you mentioned that since you were 16, you've been having these kinds of, not so isolated incidences happening to you with the police in different places in Canada, but this time you wanted to challenge it. So can you take us...
Oh, I wanted to challenge it before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I challenged it, and I found out there was no way of challenging it when you're 16. And then, other than go to court and defend what happened to you, the only other way I tried challenging it was talking to the police. That didn't go very far. I tried challenging it in my high school. I took a law course. They invited a cop one time. They let me ask like 2 questions and they cut me off. They said, no more questions for you.
You must be hitting too close to home with the po-po. Getting back to the March 8th, 2007, you are contesting this on a different level. So can you talk a little bit about your experiences with the legal system so far?
Basically, I have $1,000 in tickets I have to contest. That's a long process. That takes a year at least or more. I got my first court date for that, I think, next month, at the end of April. Because you have to wait to receive first you file, no, I contested tickets, and then you wait until their computers in the city decide to call you back or mail you something. And usually they mail you something, say, oh yes, we've received your complaint, your statement that you contest, and then you wait for them to reply and say, okay, we'll now set a date. So I'm getting my first court date for that more than a year afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a stalling technique. I don't know. And then, but anyways, what I've contested, there's 2 ways of contesting this in Quebec. One is with the Quebec Human Rights Tribunal. One is with the Police Ethics Commission. I don't know. I don't believe any of them really want to see justice. I don't think there is any justice for having people like myself that are of ethnic origins or of different color or look differently to ever have justice. I don't think that there will ever be a court that will admit that they've done something wrong and compensate the people. And I don't think it should be me. I think my neighborhood should be compensated. All immigrant neighborhoods should be compensated. We should have the same funding that wealthy neighborhoods have. We should have the ability for our children to know their history, to learn their languages. And I don't even think we should even bother fighting for other things. There's other things to fight for, but I think these are the basics that should have been there, implemented, and should be implemented now. Shouldn't be something that's really hard to think about or.
Mm-hmm.